from the News Channel 5 Network and the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development. This is State of the Workforce.
And welcome to State of the Workforce. I'm Chris Cannon. It's summer, and yep, Tennessee's youth employment program is in full swing for a second year. A few weeks ago, Governor Bill Lee traveled to Knoxville to meet with several young Tennesseans who are on the job this summer because of YEP.
The East Tennessee Youth Employment Program provides resources to recruit for our future by investing in Generation Z applicants.
Work is done by doing, and opportunities presented by Durrell and the companies that are represented today demonstrate that young people really do want to work, and they can work with the right opportunities.
It's important what happens in the Capitol. It's important what we do there every day. But when lives are changed, it's what happens here. Communities all across Tennessee, when the people engage. That's what makes for a great state.
And YEP is a year-round program, so Tennesseans ages 14 through 24 can still get involved in work during the school year if they have time. Just head to yeptn.com to learn more. And now to our workforce focus. It's early childhood education and how to expand the pipeline of new teachers in Tennessee. Dr. Leslie Cowell is the Dean of Lipscomb University's College of Education, and Melanie Shinbaum is the Executive Director of the Nashville Early Education Coalition. Thank you both for joining us today. Tell us how important it is, those first years, that birth to 5 years old in a child's development, and the influence a teacher has on a young child at that age.
Yeah, well, it's very critical. These early years, we know between birth and age 3, 90% of the brain develops during those 3 years. So a lot of what is happening at that age is really setting a child up for success, not only in kindergarten, but for their entire life. We know that teachers play an important role because they're not just babysitting, they're not just providing physical care, although that's an important part of it. They're also teaching and making sure that important developmental milestones are being met.
So it's not only when they get into kindergarten, they're learning way before that. And is there research that shows the long-term impact that education at that early age plays? There's a lot of research, and there's also an economic impact too.
Mm-hmm. So not only are we providing through high quality early education care so parents can work today, we're also preparing the workforce of tomorrow with high quality educated children who will one day be running all of our workforce.
It really is a workforce issue, because if that early childhood care isn't there, then the parents can't work. So it really is important that we solve all of these issues to make sure we have the best workforce that we can. Mm-hmm. Dr. Cowell, tell us how the shortage of well-trained early educators in Tennessee and Nashville is impacting our state.
Yeah, so nationwide, only 30% of center-based teaching staff have a bachelor's degree or higher. And so it's important that we professionalize this field. One, because we want to close those shortages, right? There are some centers that can't open because there's not enough people to work there. There's high staff turnover because of the shortages. It impacts the people that are working there. And then it makes it hard for families to be able to find care if there's not enough centers for their children to go. So it's impacting their ability to work, as we talked about before. And also communities will face long-term consequences on their workforce if there's not people to work. So it really is a cyclical problem that we want to make sure that families have a place to send their child that they feel comfortable sending them to and know they're going to be cared for well. And we got to have teachers to staff that, but also we want the children to have a high quality teacher so they will be prepared when they enter the workforce.
More than just a babysitter, somebody there that's
Yes.
going to impact them.
That's right.
And what are the barriers that are preventing these educators from staying in the field, getting in the field, wanting to even go in the field?
Yeah, so low wages, limited benefits. Not every child care center offers insurance, and so that makes it hard for folks to be able to stay in this profession. There is a high cost for obtaining a degree and credential, high cost, and it takes most of the time a lot of time. If you're having to work full time and earn a degree or credential, it just takes a lot of time. And so that is an issue. There's also, a lot of people think of childcare as babysitting, and it is a professional field. These are folks that have a expertise that we don't hold up to the same esteem that we hold in K-12 or otherwise. And so there is a lack of professional recognition that people leave the field of early childhood seeking something that is more professionalized and that has advancement opportunities. You know, sometimes folks will come into the early childhood field and they'll stay there for 20 years because there's not this opportunity for upward mobility like there is in other careers. And there's just burnout because it's hard work. And if there's not those opportunities, there's not those opportunities to grow, and I'm just gonna stay in, you know, here for 20 years, which is admirable for sure. But it's a very hard job that's not professionalized like it should be.
Because it has such an impact on the development of the child, and people probably don't realize that those years are critical even when they're just at that daycare center. Tell me, what is the Nashville Early Childhood Coalition doing to address these workforce issues and try to ease these issues?
Yeah, so we were founded really last year around this time with the goal to bring different stakeholders to the table that might not otherwise have the chance to sit around a shared table. So first and foremost, we're working to bring early childhood education providers, advocates to the table so they can speak for themselves as to what they're seeing and what they experience. No one knows their business better than they do. And then alongside them, we're working to bring local and state government officials. We're looking to bring the business community alongside, again, because of this economic impact. And then private philanthropy, which has been historically very supportive of programs, especially here in Nashville, that serve particularly low-income families with high-quality education. But we know that each of those groups, as hard as they work independently, we can accomplish more together. So that's why we came together with the goal of bringing opportunities for people to talk through challenges, propose policy changes, bring people together that might have creative solutions. Met with someone just this morning and they were looking for, I have an idea, who could I talk to? So that's really NEEC's goal, is to bring folks around the table and create some creative solutions to solve this problem for our community.
Because partnership brings progress. You work together, you're going to get a lot farther. Why is it so important that these teachers have the bachelor's degree in the higher education and not just the minimum requirements? What difference does that make?
Yeah, so it is a professional field, right, that we feel should be shown through that qualification of a bachelor's degree. Also, we know that raising the qualifications will elevate the profession and lead to better outcomes for children because they are gaining that knowledge as a teacher to go in and know best practice in child development and early education instruction and what classroom management looks like in those important years of brain development for children. It also helps for them to stay in that field, right? So if they've got a degree and they've committed to working in that with that bachelor's degree, there is some opportunity for them to stay and retain in early childhood. We want them to stay in education, but then provides them opportunities for upward mobility so they can maybe become a center director or a leader or start their own center. So there's just lots of teach others. There's lots of opportunities for them to move if they've got that base of the bachelor's degree to professionalize them.
And what message would you give to the community and to parents about investing in early childhood education in Nashville and across Tennessee?
Well, I think there's no better investment. I might be a little biased, but I really do think that every dollar we invest today, research shows, is impactful in such a large way in the future. And again, quite frankly, we just as an economy, we're going to have opportunities for families to have quality care. And what happens if we don't have an appropriate workforce for the early childhood education community is parents are still going to have to work, they still need to go to school, and they end up making tough choices and compromise somewhere, whether that's on cost, quality, location. And so by expanding access, we can really allow families the ability to not have to compromise. Think of childcare as a set of puzzle pieces. And so what's important for one family might be slightly different than another. But if the community can offer enough options, then families can match that together.
Well, it is an important conversation, and thank you very much for having it with us. You stay where you are. When we come back, Lipscomb University and the state are taking a different approach to recruiting more early childhood teachers. That's next on State of the Workforce. We'll discuss the Teacher Prep Hub and the role of apprenticeships. Stay with us. Apprenticeships are a proven workforce development tool for many occupations, so why not make teachers apprentices to expand that talent pipeline? Dr. Leslie Cowell joins us again, and this time she's with Angela Goddard, the Executive Director of the Josie Davis Foundation. And thank you for joining us, and thanks for sticking around. Tell us about Lipscomb University and its apprenticeship program for early childhood educators. Why did the university think that was such an important thing to start?
Yeah, so there is a need for educators in early childhood, specifically those pre-K and under. There's a major shortage across the country in this area, and so the goal of this apprenticeship program is to develop a pipeline for teachers that can work while earning their degree and get that hands-on experience while they're taking their coursework. So the program's developed in partnership with the Department of Labor to hopefully address those workforce shortages and support early childhood education in centers across the state.
So it's a great program. Why did the Josie Davis Foundation want to team up with Lipscomb to work on this program?
Absolutely. The foundation was a critical partner in starting an organization called Little Wonders Early Learning Center. And Little Wonders is a 0 to 5 child care early learning center that focuses on providing care for our teachers. And in 2022, several charter school leaders came to me, and they were faced with a workforce development challenge. They could not retain high quality teachers in the classroom because those teachers could not find care for their own children. And so in 2022, we launched Little Wonders to provide that care for K-12 educators.
So it really is a full circle.
It's
the
a full
teachers in the
circle.
K-12 sector can't find childcare, so they need
Yes.
early childhood education, but the teachers aren't there for that either. So it's a real conundrum.
It's a workforce development issue from 0 all the way through K-12. Yep.
Dr. Cowell, how can you explain the apprenticeship model and how that's going to work, and really how they're going to earn that degree?
Yeah, so they'll be placed in a job, so they could already be working there. They can be hired and matched in this employer hub located at Lipscomb, so they'll be matched with an employer. They'll work while they earn their degree. Some of the coursework is traditional coursework where they'll meet in person or asynchronous online, earn their credential that way. Some of the courses we designed to be done on the job, so they can do that more competency based and demonstrate their skills and competencies while they're working. They can earn a salary or a wage while they're working on their coursework, so it's not something they can work or go to school. They actually get to do both, and they're aligned, so they can utilize what they're learning on the job to complete their coursework. So it blends together what they're learning on the job with best practice and instruction to be able to get more folks in the pipeline and support those centers that need people to work there. Right?
So it's really a dual impact. It's
That's
a
right.
win-win for
Absolutely.
everybody.
That's right.
Kind
It's
of
a
go
dual
over
impact.
why you think this is going to be a very helpful tool for this area.
Absolutely. Little Wonders recognizes that we want to invest in our own teaching staff, and our teachers are not childcare workers, they're professionals, they are teachers in that 0 to 5 space. So when Dean Cowell created this program, we immediately raised our hand and said we will be the #1 employer to step up as a partner in this program. We want our teachers to be able to have that opportunity to get valuable in-classroom experience paired with the learning that they're doing every single day in that classroom in the early childhood space. So it was a great opportunity to invest in our own teachers, to recruit and retain our own teachers into the field as a profession.
In higher education, you know, it can be costly, and that can be a big barrier. How does this program remove those barriers so we can have more people come into this field?
Yeah, so this is a partnership with the employer, the Department of Labor, the university, and the candidate. And so the goal is that the program will be covered in full with grants, Department of Labor funds. We're braiding a lot of things together to make sure that it's free for the candidates, and that covers tuition, their books, testing costs. We want to make sure that we provide access to anyone who wants to come into this profession. So by eliminating the debt and the financial burden, hopefully we can continue to build that pipeline, and it won't keep some people out, right? If you feel like you have the heart for being a teacher and you want to move into this profession and stay, we hope that this is a pipeline in a way that you can do that.
Because you can have that heart, but if you have to work,
Right.
and you can't afford education, then that's that barrier. But this
That's
takes
right.
it away because you can work, you can earn while you're learning.
That's right.
And have that education paid for.
That's right.
It's just a great program. And how will all these partnerships really expand the effectiveness of what's happening at Little Wonders?
It's going to impact quality, and it's also going to recruit teachers who want to be in this profession. And I think that's going to make a big difference to what the experience our students will have. So for us, for Little Wonders, to be able to partner with Lipscomb, one of the leading teacher prep programs in the state, it's just a win-win all the way around.
So I guess the big question is, if you're watching and you have questions about this, who can get involved? How can they get involved? When does it all start? It's already underway though, right?
Yes, it's already underway. We take our first group of apprentices that will start at Little Wonders in August. And so it's beginning just shortly. And anyone who's interested in being a candidate or an apprentice or an organization that's interested in being an employer partner with us can contact me. You can find my information on Lipscomb's website.
And we can put that on our website too. And is there a number you're looking to get to, or you're just trying to help as many people as you can at this point?
I have a very lofty goal. I don't know that I have a big goal. Yes.
So there's room.
There's room. We are not wanting to cap this. We want this to grow. We are not going to turn away anyone who wants to be a teacher because we need them so desperately in the state.
All right, great. Well, I appreciate you both very much. It's a great program, and much success to that. We'll make sure and keep an eye on it. Thank you so much. Well, anyone who wants to work in Tennessee should have the opportunity to join our workforce. Lipscomb University has the IDEAL program to find meaningful employment for Tennesseans with developmental disabilities. We'll talk about that program next on State of the Workforce. In Tennessee, everyone who has a passion to work should have access to quality and meaningful employment. The IDEAL program at Lipscomb University empowers students with disabilities to become adults with job opportunities. Misty Parsley is the executive director of the university's Office of Accessibility and Learning Supports, and Becky Sullivan is the assistant director of the IDEAL Employment at the university. And thank you both very much for joining us. This is a great program. And tell me, it's been around for 10 years. You just graduated your 11th cohort back in the spring. How many students have you served to date and put to work?
So we have 83 graduates of the IDEAL program to date. We also have 30 current students in the program in our first to fourth year program.
And that is making a difference in so many lives that typically maybe not even thinking about going to work. Is that accurate to say? So
we know that some amount of post-secondary education increases job opportunities. And so this is a population who has not had a lot of post-secondary education opportunities. Many of our students do not have a traditional college diploma. But through our inclusive programs, they are able to come to programs like IDEAL and still take part in college, learn about being a college student, learn about all the things that college has to offer, participate in all the social events and athletic events, and also learn the important skills of independent living and being employed.
And why is that so important that they get both of those when they're at Lipscomb?
So fostering independence and promoting inclusion is incredibly huge in what we do. It oozes through our students at Lipscomb. They are incredible peer mentors. They do everything they can because everyone deserves a very high quality of life.
What are some of the classes they're taking during the IDEAL program that are preparing them for these different opportunities after they get out of school?
Sure. So our students in our traditional two-year program, they take 12 hours a semester. Half of those hours are university courses that they audit that are tied to their career interest or goals. And they might take classes in education, in nutrition, in kinesiology, in business. And then the other half of those classes are classes that we provide to really work on those employment skills and those independent living skills. So they may learn to write a resume, to have interviews. They also learn about finding an apartment, paying taxes, all the things that we do as adults.
And those classes are so important, but really the hands-on experience is what's really important with internships and externships, and they get to go to work during this program too. Tell me about what they're doing and some of the employers that are helping out with this program.
Sure. So we offer off-campus internships as well as employment for our students that graduate. They do a little bit of everything, Chris. The sky is the limit. We basically try try and match their skill set and their passion with whatever the needs are within the community. So what does that look like? That could be anything from doing an off-campus internship at a Village of Flowers for a student that is interested in floral design, or a student that is very interested in working with animals, maybe the Nashville Zoo. A person that's interested in packaging, a student might be working at the UPS store. So it absolutely is whatever they would like to do, whatever their passion would be, and whatever they would like to pursue, and what the needs are in the community to fill that.
And I'm sure you see these students flourish.
Absolutely.
What have you seen, and what feedback are you getting from the employers that they're working for?
In the last 10 or 12 years, we've had so much positive feedback, but Becky hears from those employers every day. So
yeah, so I think that probably the greatest things that I hear that the employers and internship supervisors are really blown away by their strong work ethic and their level of professionalism. Our students are not only adept at what they do once they learn and they are able to follow a task list, but they're usually very highly motivated to come to work. You usually have an incredibly loyal employee. Once they learn the ropes, so to speak, they're empowered and wanted to be their very best.
And over the years, you've received some state funding from the Department of Developmental Disabilities and Aging and the Department of Labor and Workforce Development. How is that impacting the program?
So, you know, any amount of funding is helpful for our program to continue. The Tennessee Believes scholarship, grant, which comes through the Department of Disability and Aging, has really helped us expand on our advanced program. So our students who complete the first 2 years have an opportunity to stay and actually practice the skills they learned in those first 2 years. So they're working jobs, they're living independently, and they're practicing all those skills in a safe environment. And so we're so grateful to Disability and Aging for that opportunity. They're really working on expanding programs like IDEAL across our state. And we now have 9 college programs across the state of Tennessee that are similar to IDEAL. And then we also have been working closely with the Department of Labor through the WIOA funds.
Should we tell them what that is?
Yes.
It's the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. It's a mouthful, so WIOA is much easier to say.
And those funds come through the Department of Labor, and those are really helpful to incentivize hiring for employers.
Great. Well, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much. And if you want to learn more about this and focus on the IDEAL program and the Expect Employment Report, we have a great article for you on our website. That's our time for today. Thank you for joining us, and that is the State of Tennessee's Workforce. Have a great day, everybody.